All right, welcome. So today we're going to demonstrate the installation on one of these new Tundras. These are 2021 to current year model, and probably going to be the Tundra that we have on the roads for the next 15 years based on how Toyota's truck design goes. So anyways, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get started on the back seat. The instructions state to start with the front seats, but let's be honest, you don't know what you're getting yourself into just yet. So I feel like starting in the back seat is better, because if you need to call it quits at any point during the job, you can still drive around and it's not like you've got seat covers halfway installed on your driver's seat. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some parts and get going. All right, so we're going to start with a top-down approach on this. So I start with the headrests, remove those, then I can start on the actual seat surfaces, the seat back, and then the seat bottom. Now, I get calls about this pretty often, so I like to reiterate this in every single video. But with these headrests, you have a J hook. You can see that it's shaped like a J, and then you have an I hook, okay? Now there's this plastic lip, and it needs to do a 180-degree turn before it goes into this J hook, okay? Sometimes I have customers who just try to insert the plastic, but that's not going to hold the headrest. Needs to make that full 180-degree turn so that you have material and plastic going into the J hook. As far as the headrest installation goes, it looks something a lot like this. I like to hold the headrest up. You can see we've got these two lines coming down. The shape is going to be correct. So in this case, the J hook is going to be in the front, on the front side of the headrest. You can see that's just a completely different shape. So that's a good way of, identifying which way the headrest is going to face when it's on the actual headrest. So we've got the window down now, which means that I can reach my hands completely around this headrest, which is going to help me out a lot here. So what I like to do is I grab the headrest with my two inside fingers. So I'm basically like Spider-Man shooting a web, okay? And with my hands like that, I get the headrest started. And then with a twisting back and forth action, making sure that I pull the headrest down evenly, you can get it on a little like that. Then from there, we will pull the headrest out of the seat. And as you can see, it's kind of bulging out of the seat cover. So what I'll do is I'll just pull all the material around the headrest, tuck it down into the headrest hole. Really mush it in there, okay? So once we're at this point, I can check and just feel, make sure that all the stitching points are kind of lining up exactly where I want. It feels a little bit crooked to me. So I will put it back in the seat so that I can then twist it to be exactly what I want it to look like. And that looks great. So then from there, we just need to do the magic with the J and I hook like I described earlier. And what I like to do with that is I'll push the headrest foam down, kind of smush it with the hand that has the I hook in it. Make sure it does that 180-degree turn. And then tuck it into the J hook. So when you're done, it should look something like that. And then these little wings that are poking out, you just tuck them right in there. And there you have a headrest cover installed. And so then from there, I can just move to this little middle headrest. You can see the shape is pretty obvious what needs to happen here. So I'll lift that up a little bit. And where it does this deep dive, I feel like I want to get the bottom side on there first. Once I pull it like that, I can just make it twist on this center headrest here. Pull the cover around so it's nice and tight. It's looking pretty good. I still have a little bit of adjusting to do here. But at this point, I can now do that trick with the J and I hook again. Get this thing absolutely secured on here. Really, with these headrests, I've found it's just a matter of getting the material situated in such a way that the next couple of steps for you can go simply. So Anyways, I've got the J and I hook met up now, and I'll do a little bit of tweaking once we're done here, but I feel like that looks pretty good for now. So now I'm going to start on this back seat. Sweet. So now we will move on to the seat back. This is the 60 section. We work in fractions in the seat industry. So this is called a 60-40 rear seat. This is the 60 section because it's approximately 60% of the back seat. That's the 40% section because, you guessed it, it's 40% of the back seat. So what we have here is we have a zipper on one side. I'm going to open that up because that's going to make this really be a cinch for install. Peel the Velcro apart, so we've got this big open cavern that our seat's going to fit into. On the Tundra, the way to fold the seat forward is just with this fabric latch here. And so what I'm going to do as I'm doing this simultaneously, I'm going to pull a bunch of slack on this rear seat belt and kind of preemptively tuck it underneath the seat cover ever so slightly. So now the seat cover is between the seat, it's between the seat belt and the seat back, so we can really get to work on it. So pull some more slack, put this side over, and then from here, look at that, with that zipper it makes it really easy. On this top corner I'm pretty much all set. On this side I'll just work my way through the truck. It's a cloth fabric on the back side of this seat, so your Velcro will get stuck to it, but just peel it up and pull it down nice and tight. And a good indicator for how well you've got this thing fitting is where the headrest posts are lining up. So this whole seat cover kind of needs to shift to the side ever so slightly like that. But that's looking good. So then from there, I'll go ahead, fold this thing down and address the zipper here. So again, dealing with the carpet on the back side of this seat, I like to just kind of get it pulled nice and tight, and this is where the carpet actually kind of helps you. You can get it stuck down and then focus all of your effort on this outside portion of the seat cover so that we can work the zipper down. So that looks a lot like this if you're doing it single-handedly. Just work it down bit by bit. Make sure that you're pinching the zipper together because broken zippers are no fun. We can help you if it happens, but it's definitely a lot easier of a process if you don't go breaking these zippers. So what I'm doing here is I'm pulling all the material over and sticking it, which makes doing up the zipper an absolute cinch. You might say you cinch the zipper up. All right, so now we've basically got this seat cover installed. Just a few points of interest. So we've got this handle that allows the seat back to flip forward. So, and these little tabs here, we'll pull them through the seat cover so that if you've got little kids, you know where to put that seat anchor for the child seats. Then on this side, looks like another one of those. So we'll pull her through, and this is the tab to get the seat back to release from that back wall. So no tucking for these parts whatsoever. They just pull right through. And now we can work on these headrests, okay? I'm gonna give you a good angle so that you can see. But from here, what you wanna do is you want to pull the material over the headrest mount side to side. I say side to side because that's where it's gonna be the narrowest and it's gonna be the easiest on the material to go over. So look at that. I just get one side started with my fingers, just push it around there. Using the Clazzio tool that's included in the seat cover kit, that can help a lot, especially on the leather sections, because the leather is going to be a lot firmer than this vinyl material right here. But yeah, just get it started on one side, push it down to the other until all the material is tucked under those headrest mounts. Then we'll work on this side, and because these headrest mounts on the Tundra are so big, it actually helps a lot for getting it tucked under there. Now you can really see what I mean. It's definitely narrower going this way than it would be going top to bottom. Anytime I see these parts get torn, it's going to be because they've been pulled the wrong way. Sometimes you will get a tiny amount of tearing, but just know this is a really low stress point of the seat. If you have a small tear there, so long as it's tucked under the plastic and isn't looking bad, you really don't have a problem whatsoever. Now, just follow that procedure, go side to side here. Get it nice and tucked under there. Again, like I said, on the leather section, that's really where you'd probably want to use that tool. But these fingers are weapons by now. I've installed tons of seat covers. Okay, so we're getting pretty close to being done here. Got a lot of bunchiness here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take this Velcro point and we're gonna tuck it under the seat back, okay? And I've found that sometimes, depending on the vehicle, can really help a lot if you kind of just move the seat back and forward as you're trying to do this. Because there are going to be points as this thing's, you know, leaning forward and backwards where there's going to be more room between the seat bottom and the seat back. Now that I've got it started, I can reach back here. This is going to be tricky for you folks to see, but two-handed operation. I'm going to push from the front, pull from the back until we've got that Velcro showing. And then from there, you can work your way across the entire seat back, get that Velcro showing up on this side. Give it a nice pull, lean her on forward. Hello there. As you can see, I've got this back seat, the 60 section on. Just a couple words about it. This was an exercise, okay? I try to go to the gym every day, but man, it kind of had me gassed. And the thing that was kind of hard, and this is going to be on every Clazzio set that you install, the goal is a nice, tight fitting seat cover. And I think what you're left with here is a seat cover that looks like it came from Toyota, you know? But to do that, it takes a lot of work, okay? So what I was struggling with there was just getting the Velcro lined up here, doing it solo just to kind of show you what it would be like if you were doing it in your garage. And it was a little bit of work, but essentially what wound up helping me the most was getting the Velcro started in the middle, kind of working through the sides, okay? So what that would look like is just inch by inch pulling the Velcro up, pushing it down, getting them to meet all the way across. But we are done with that, and I think it looks great. So at this point, I can give you a little teaser of what it's all gonna look like when it's done. Put that headrest on. Put this headrest in. Boom. It's looking pretty sharp. So now we can go ahead and switch to the seat bottom. All right, so now we're gonna switch to the seat bottom. And you know, I like to tell customers on the phone, think of it as like a piece of mail, you know, an envelope with a letter. The letter being your seat, the envelope being the seat cover. So that's essentially what we're doing here, except instead of licking paper, you're just gonna stick Velcro. So we've got a zipper point here, that's gonna go on the inside. And so I will flip this seat up and single-handedly, you can just kind of get it started into place here, focusing all your effort on the door side here where I'm standing. Use a good amount of strength to, you know, pull it down nice and tight. Now I can focus all my efforts here on this side because that side looks like it's down good. Okay. Well, here we are. I've got the cover in place for the most part. On my side over here, there's some slack, but we're gonna take that up when we tighten up the Velcro. It's gonna be very similar to what I did on the seat back. Basically, I've got a Velcro point here that's on the top of the seat bottom, and I have two Velcro points underneath the seat. So the job now is to get those to match up. What that's gonna look like is I'm gonna tuck the material. I'm gonna take it like this, just slide it right about there. You know, it doesn't have to be too far in right now. Toyota was actually really nice to us with this truck. And they made it so that when you flip this up, there's just a ton of space to pull that Velcro through. So anyways, get it started. You know, it's not gonna be perfect just yet. Now that it's started, what I wanna do is I wanna focus my attention here on the zipper. Same exact deal. Make sure that you've got the zipper pulled as close together as possible before you start actually zipping. Again, broken zippers are no fun. Pull it nice and tight together, and that's considerably easier than the seat back portion. So now we've got this little tail of zipper. Just gonna tuck that right inside the seat cover like so. Okay. Now we are ready to focus on the Velcro points. So I'll start in the middle. Seems like that's a good move. So what I am doing here is I'm grabbing the Velcro underneath and I'm giving it my all here. Pulling it nice and tight, and then I'm holding it with my left hand, give it another little tug, pull the top down, and boom, we've got Velcro mated up. They're gonna be friends for as long as this seat cover is installed. Okay, so I've got a pretty decent overlap of the Velcros here, so I know it's nice and tight up top. Now I can work my way over here. Again, it's just a big gymnastics game, figuring out how to position your body so you can have the most leverage and also look good for the camera. But you don't have to worry about that. Unless you're a YouTuber. If you are, hit me up. Give it a nice tug. Hold it with the left hand. Pull it, get it to meet up there. Now, the other side, give it a nice tug. Hold it with my left hand. Pull it down. And you can work on tiny sections of the Velcro at a time. Just get it so you've got a nice overlap here. Okay, that's nice. It's looking really, really good. So now we've got the seat bottom installed for the most part. I want to work over here and pull it down just a little bit because I've got a little bit of slack up here on this corner. I'm actually going to go ahead and undo the Velcro some so that I have some leverage to pull down on. Give it a nice tug. Working it from the sides, just pushing down on the material. We want these things nice and tight for our boy Eric. Okay, that is looking sharp. So we've got our pull tab here to release it. Bam, that is the 60 section complete, okay? Now, as far as the 40 section goes, installation is going to be exactly the same, okay? But a lot easier because you're dealing with smaller parts. Put the top on, attach the Velcro points, slip your headrest mounts through the covers, ready to go. Well, at this point, I feel like it's worth saying these Tundras are sweet. If you're contemplating ordering a set of seat covers for these, just know I like your truck a lot, okay? But what we're gonna do now is we're gonna switch to the front seats. So again, same top-down approach. I'm gonna do the headrest first, and then I'm gonna work on the seat back. I'm gonna try and do it from the back seat so you can see it going on. It'll be like a ghost is installing these things. I've got my headrest cover, and again, you can just tell based off of the stitching pattern exactly where this thing needs to go. On the back side of this headrest, I've got a U shape, and then it plummets down. And I can see on this headrest cover, I've got that same U shape. So this is gonna be the front side of the headrest, okay? If you feel like your headrests are fitting funky, just double check, make sure that you're putting them on straight, because they really should look, you know, just like a factory headrest. And to be honest, I don't know what the best approach for this is just yet. You kind of work it and see, just trying whatever it takes to get this thing going. It's probably going to be that same deal. I'm going to recline the seat forward as much as it'll go, so I've got more room between the headrest and the roof, and I'm going to use that same attack method as the back headrests, just a twisting motion. Now these front headrests, they're clearly going to be trickier than the back headrests. It's because they've got so much more shape to them. But as you can see, I'm squishing the factory headrest foam, and I'm just working it down, paying special mind to make sure that the headrest goes down evenly. If you tear a headrest, chances are it's because it's going on crooked. Okay, you're just stretching it past the breaking point of the material. But if you go straight down, should have no drama. Okay, so that's the front side mostly situated. Squeeze my fingers in there. And that's looking pretty good so far as I can tell from the back. So, hop out, take a quick look. What I'm looking for is just that the stitching on the sides looks nice and centered. Okay, I'm feeling pretty good about that. So I will remove the headrest. Then it's just a matter of doing up that J and I hook, okay? So for that, like I said, squish the material down for the J hook. You can really bridge up a lot of space here by doing so. Make sure that the I hook does that 180-degree turn, and you've got material and plastic tucking in. Now, another thing, to make sure that you've got the I hook seated in there as good as you can, you can see there's a little bit of material poking out right there. So, I'm going to grab this Clazzio tool, tuck that material in. Not a bad idea to do this on every single headrest that you do, but yeah, that is a completed headrest. We're going to go ahead and start working on the seat back, okay? Now, very, very important what I'm about to tell you right now. Our seat covers are compliant with factory side seat airbags, okay? But one thing to note, this is the driver's side seat back, okay? It's meant to go on this seat. If you put this seat back on the passenger seat, we're not sure whether the airbag is going to come through. It probably won't if you were ever to be T-boned, okay? So you need to make absolutely certain that you are putting the driver's side seat back on the driver's seat. So inside of the seat cover is going to be a tag, all right? Here's the tag right here. Whoops. There's our tag. You can see this is part number 21. That is the part for the seat back. For the driver's seat, another good way of just visually making sure that you're putting the right part on is this Clazzio tag right here, okay? So we've got 2 rows of zippers here. I'm gonna go ahead and open up the side. A little pro tip, a lot of the times I only open the side that's the closest to the door, because then you've already got one zipper that's already done up. So that's just the way I like to do it. I find that it is easier. Now, I'm going to come back here, set my seat back on the back seat. I have one thing to do before I'm able to install this seat back. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reach underneath this driver's seat bottom, okay? From the seat back, I'm going to follow it down underneath the seat. And what you're going to feel is essentially a flap, okay? A flap with 2 elastic bungees coming off of it. If your fingers follow that elastic bungee further up, you'll see that it comes to an end, and there's a way to unhook it from a plastic tab here, okay? So unhook both elastic bungees from those plastic tabs, and what you'll do is you will fold the seat flap 180 degrees up so that it is resting against the backrest of the seat, okay? it is going to be tucked in between the factory seat back and the Clazzio seat cover, okay? So with that flap kind of situated, I can now just throw the cover over. Because of these zippers that we put on here, it really makes installation a cinch. So you'll get it started. Like I said, I only have this side zipper undone, so most of my effort is going to be spent on the side here closest to the center console, okay? Like I said, you know, you can base how well you're doing off of where these headrest mounts line up. So basically, right now, I'm kind of behind those headrest mounts, so that means I need to pull this front side further down, and I can kind of just work it even from up here, get it nice and pulled down around these shoulders. Just rubbing it like that really does a lot to get this thing in place. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. And you know, there's really no magic to the order of operation here. I can do these headrest mounts and get them pulled through the material right now, or I can do that after I do the Velcro. I prefer to do it right now, just because then I can make sure seat cover's pulled down as nice and tight as possible. So I'm gonna reach in this hole, because I don't remember which side has the button for the headrest release. I like to start on the headrest mount that has the headrest release, okay? That's gonna be on this left side, the door side. I like to start with this one. I start on the side that has that button. You can see it kind of poking through there. And work it all the way around that button. This is where the Clazzio tool will come in very, very handy. You can use it to help push the material around that headrest mount, working it closer to the center console here and get that material tucked up underneath, okay? The side with the button is going to be the hardest because that button protrudes a little bit further. On this side, I can start it from whichever way I want. I'm going to start it same direction, left to right, like you're reading a sentence. Working on that type of stuff with my son right now. Okay, cool. So I've got that started. These things are a little bit of a bear. We have to cut these holes super small so that when you get the material pushed all around this headrest mount, it all tucks underneath the headrest mount, okay? Giving it that really nice factory finish, making it look like a factory seat, okay? Now I've got those pulled through. I'm gonna give this one more little tug. Oh, I broke a nail really bad. Ouch. Okay, so I've got that pulled nice and tight, got that pulled nice and tight, and so now I can focus on the zipper. Now I'm sitting on the back seat, and boy do I feel comfy with these new Clazzios on here. If you haven't already ordered, be sure to use either, you know, the best coupon code that's on the site, or coupon code Broken Nail, all lowercase, one word. That's going to be good on orders of $5.99 and up. It'll be good for $65 off. So again, that'll be active all the time. But if there's a better coupon code on the website, feel free to use that. Okay. So now I'm going to focus on this zipper, okay? But I can kind of show you this flap that I was talking about that you didn't see. You see these these elastic points? Those tuck under the seat and attach to a plastic clip back there. But we've already taken care of that. So no sweat for me. I'm going to pull this side of the zipper, give it a good yank, okay? You see how close those zippers are? No chance of broken zippers, because broken zippers are no fun. Look at that, all done. Now this side, because I left it done, I don't have to zip anything. I'll just tuck this little tail of zipper up into the cover. Okay, cool. So now, just like the back seats, you know, there's a Velcro point that's currently up there that needs to get to the back side of this seat. And there's a Velcro point right here, okay? And a quick tip, you are gonna have to pull the crap out of these things, okay? You're gonna have to really use a lot of force to get these Velcro points to match up. Do not pull from here. This is meant to hold children's books and maps and things like that. Not 180 pounds worth of force pulling it down to get those Velcro points to match up, okay? Now, If I grab the cover right here, you know, just kind of bunch it up so that all the pressure is on the Velcro, I can pull down on that as hard as I want. So that is your leverage point. That is not. So now I'm going to tuck that Velcro in from the front to the back. And again, I can pull as hard as I want right here. Nothing's going to break, okay? But I'm going to tuck this Velcro through here, okay? It's very tight, so I've got the seat reclined to help me with that. And here's the magic, okay? If I pull this lever, it's already tucked through for the most part. So now I can work my way back here. Man, I feel comfy back here in this new seat. And I can grab that Velcro point, just pull it the rest of the way through. And that's gonna look something like this. Okay, and there's a little piece of Velcro. It's essentially two pieces. I need to work on that. That side's closer to the door to accommodate wires, factory wires. I don't know if it's for seat bag, the seat airbags. That's what those wires are doing there. You can tell that's the case because it's a yellow wire. So this Velcro point right here, it's divided into two pieces to accommodate that airbag wire. So now that I've got those pulled through, a lot of pulling is about to occur. All right, so I just took a look. My middle insert, the part that's perforated on our leather kits and PVC kits, just want to make sure that's going straight down the middle of the seat, which it is, straight down the fairway. So I've got this essentially right where I want it. Now, I'm going to be a gymnast, figure out my best way to acquire leverage on these two Velcro points. I'm going to pull this just as tight as I can and hold it there with my left hand. Pull this down and get the points to meet up. Now that's holding, but barely. That's enough of a hold for me now to work on the sides that are poking down. Pull it. Push it down. If your significant other is watching, make sure they're aware of how tough this is by making lots of grunting noises. Holy cow. Okay, so I've got that pulled. Got the Velcro points nice and met up. Even a little bit of overlap, which is good. That's a sign you've got these on nice and tight. Okay, so I've got the big section of Velcro done up. Now, I need to focus on the tiny piece. Give that a nice tug. Whew! And those Velcro points are done up. So now we've got the majority of the seat back done, and I feel like it's looking really good. So now we're gonna focus on the seat bottom. All right, now it's time for, I feel like I start with all right every single clip. Moving right along, we're gonna do the driver's side seat bottom, okay? So I've properly identified this as the driver's side seat bottom by looking at the tag. It is part number 22, okay? So for the most part, I don't know, the thing that identifies it from the passenger seat is this string point. That tucks further back in on the console side or the jump seat side than on the door side, okay? So order of operation here, I'm just gonna loosely get this thing in place. I like to undo my strings immediately. They come tied from our manufacturer. Keeps it from slipping through the cover, and I'll just chuck that back there. That's about where I want it. Then I'll undo the string for this side, and I'll wait a minute before I locate the string for this side. But yeah, what we've got here for fastening the seat cover down is essentially, you know, the one string that comes out at the two ends, and then also straps and buckles, okay? So I will get the seat cover in place. I like to start on the console side, just make sure it's nice and in there. And then I just kind of work all over the place on these seat bottoms. I feel like it works best to be focusing on like the whole procedure. Tuck that flap with the buckles through. Now I've decided that I'm going to work on this string location, okay? So this is the string for the door side of this driver's seat. We're working on putting this string through, okay? The point of insertion for this string is right here. That looks really tight, but check it out. I can just jam my finger right in there. So we've got a really good path for this string to make it through this plastic, between the cloth and the plastic, and then jump out to the back side of this seat. So what that looks like is I'll just start feeding it down. I'll put my hand in between the seat and this plastic. Oh, look at that. I've already got it. So now I can just tuck that to the back and I can ignore it for a minute, because now I'm going to start tucking this stuff all down in here. And I feel that there's a protrusion right here. So that's what this cutout for the string is. You can see the piping here has a break. It's because there is a hard plastic here that mounts this seat plastic to the actual seat. So I'll just kind of roughly get it tucked in there for now. Just tuck it all the way around this plastic here, getting myself nice and set up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the back side of the seat, okay? And I'm going to grab what I just tucked through here and I'm going to pull it nice and tight, and I want you to see what happens. It'll be pretty cool. What I'm going to do, and there's a couple of things to bear in mind. I've got my string from the door side, got my string from the console side. Those are going to match up here in a minute, but I'm not worried about that just yet. Right now, I'm going to pull on these buckles and I'm going to get that seat bottom into position. So just a good amount of force, pull it back. I'm keeping an eye on it and I can see it's tightening up there. And just kind of keep an eye on it. I can see I need to pull on the door side quite a bit more. So I'll do so. Just pulling it from the back here helps us get it into position. All my stuff is staying tucked nice and tight, which is wonderful. Now, I'll just help this door side here get a little bit tighter, okay? Like I said, it's all just a battle of figuring out what to do with your body to make sure you've got the maximum amount of leverage. And right now, the way I'm doing it is not optimal, so that you guys can see how to do it. Okay, folks, we're looking pretty good. What I'm basing that off of is just the way that the seat cover is falling on the seat. You can see we've got a lot to kind of work out here. But I can start by kind of tucking stuff in, making sure that I'm happy with the tuck on everything. And also, this string, it looks like it needs to go on the other side of the seat belt. Maybe not. Yeah, it'll tuck in between the seat belt and the seat. Okay, so I'm feeling pretty good about that now. Now we're gonna focus on our strap location, running the straps underneath the seat. It's strapping time. So now my goal is to take these straps from the front of the seat bottom, tuck them up underneath the seat so that I can do them into the buckles behind the seat. So that procedure is gonna look something like this. I'll just reach underneath and find a good path for this to go through. There's a little metal bar here I'm gonna go over. Maybe a little wire I'm gonna go through, and boom, there's our strap to the back. Same deal with the console side here. Found a wire I'm gonna go over, and boom, they're at the back. So lucky for you, Tundra owners, that was really easy. Toyota has left a ton of space underneath the seat, so you can really get your head under there and make sure that you're routing these things in a good way. I did fill with my fingers some sharp brackets. Try and avoid those if you can. But yeah, there should just be a straight shot to get it from the front to the back. Once we're back here, you can see my straps here. You can see the flap with these buckles here. There's also this elastic bungee. This is just going to tuck under the seat and attach to really anything that it can, with an S-hook that's provided in a little plastic baggie inside of your instruction packet. So with these straps and buckles, the goal here is to feed the strap through like that. You can see, hopefully, that it's going through the middle hole for the strap. And then we're going to route it back through the hole in the buckle that is right below there. So once you do that, you can pull the strap through, get it tight. You can see it's starting to cinch up there. And then just same exact operation for this other strap here. Hopefully seeing it on the door side was enough, because I don't think you can see it now. And so we've got both of those straps started. So now what I like to do, especially if I'm doing this all on my own like I am now, so now it's time to tighten up the straps, okay? A couple of things to keep in mind when you're tightening these straps up, okay? There is a breaking point of the strap. It's sewn onto the material. And if you pull it too hard, if you're tightening these things up too much, you can completely break the strap off of the seat, okay? It's not fun, just like broken zippers. We will help you make sure that it gets taken care of, but best if we can just eliminate that issue altogether. So what that's gonna look like, especially if you're doing it single-handed, it's definitely easier if you have an extra person to help you. You can feel where the strap starts at the front of this seat bottom. What I want you to do is just push with all your might down on that point, kind of compress the driver's side seat bottom foam so that as you're tightening from the back, you've got, you know, plenty of slack. You can do it up nice and tight, and then you're not really pulling on that strap to the point that it's gonna break. So if I'm flying solo like I am today, what that looks like is a little bit of a gymnast move, okay? Gonna take my arm, dig my shoulder in between the door here and the seat back until I can feel the strap underneath the seat. So I've got the door side strap in my hand. Now, with my left bandaged hand, I'm gonna compress the seat foam. So, looks something like this, you know. I get a nice squeeze on it and tighten up that strap. And you can work it where you're compressing this. You really don't have to go completely, you know, just all out strength to get it tight. Just make sure you're pushing down on this seat foam. That's gonna save these straps from breaking. And for the console side, that's definitely tighter, but I can still do it. Now at this point, I actually have the strap in my left hand right now. You're not gonna see it, but it's kind of cool that I do, because now I can compress with my right hand and get it nice and tight. Time to put the S-hook on this little flap with the elastic bungee, okay? This is called an S-hook because it looks like, kind of like an S that maybe a preschooler would draw, okay? With the zigzag lines at the bottom. Now the part that doesn't look like an S, that's what you're gonna connect to your elastic band. The rounded part of the S-hook, that's what you're gonna use to hook to some sort of component underneath the seat that'll just hold some tension on that elastic band. Not super critical with the straps that we've already done that this is done like totally tight. We just want it to kind of hold some tension on this elastic band. So I will slip the S-hook onto the band so that it looks like this. Then I will reach my hand under the seat and feel what options I have to connect to. So couple of things you can connect to here. There's going to be like metal webbing underneath the seat. That's what I'm going to connect this to. And again, it doesn't have to be like so tight, but just hold some tension there. So just kind of reach around under here, feel perfect. I found a perfect spot on that metal mesh for that S-hook to attach to. You're not gonna be able to see it, no way. But to give you an idea, basically I pulled it not only forward, but kind of at an angle in, kind of towards the middle of the seat. There's a spot where that metal webbing underneath the seat bottom has like this perfect angle for me to attach to there. Now we can focus on the strings, okay? So if you remember when I was initially putting the seat bottom on, I just kind of threw the console one over the center console, between the center console and the seat back. That's perfect because we've got it here now. I tucked this string in between the plastic and the seat foam, so that's perfect. And now what we're gonna do is I'm going to take one of these strings, it doesn't matter which one really, just whatever one's easiest for you to be able to pull some leverage on this thing, okay? Now I'm going to grab the string like this, okay? This is the knot that I'm gonna use. I'm going to wrap the string around my finger like that, and then boom, the bunny goes through this hole. So we've got a knot looking like this. Pull it tight, give it a little slap. That's not going anywhere, okay? That's a nice tight knot. So we've got this perfect loop for this string to go through. We're gonna pull tension just like that, all right? So, like I said, there's a couple of things to keep in mind. You do not want this string to get caught up in the runners of the seat. If your seat's going back and forth and rubbing on this string at all, one day you'll hear a twang and it will just completely break this string. So you can see on these seat rails, there's kind of a metal bracket that goes up and actually bolts to the side of the seat. So I want to run it right on that bracket because it's not going to interfere in any way, shape, or form with the seat rails. So now that I've got my loop tied, I can pull this over, kind of pull some slack out. I'm just trying to get the string oriented in a way that I will be able to pull the most tension, again, without breaking this string, because broken strings are no fun. They're like zippers and they're like buckles and straps. So now that I'm in a good position, I'll pull some tension. And remember, the thing that's holding this seat cover on the most is gonna be those straps, definitely, okay? So I've got it pretty tight. That's totally sufficient right there. If you're putting 180 pounds worth of pressure on this string, you're probably gonna break it, okay? So now, I'm just gonna create a little loop like this in my fingers. I'm gonna flip it around the string and run it through this loop that I have developed right here. So pretty simple, just like that. I've got this, I'll pull it tight until it creates a knot. And typically, I will just leave it that way with just one single knot there. That'll hold it tight perfectly. But in a couple of weeks, I'll have the customer bring this truck back, and I'll retighten the string, I'll retighten the straps. That's good procedure if you are, we're working with a material here that is going to break in. It is going to kind of relax and settle on the seat. So I'll leave it like that for now, and I'll have Eric come back at a later date so that we can retighten those up. But now, we're pretty well done with this driver's side seat. We've got the headrest done, we've got the seat back done, and we've got the seat bottom done. So now we can move on to doing S-hooks on these elastic bungees. Now it's time to put the S-hooks on this elastic that goes for this replacement seat flap. Remember, we tucked the factory one up inside of this seat cover. So put the elastic on, same look as when we did that other flap under the seat. And then just reach under, probably gonna attach to that same webbing. Doesn't have to be super tight, just tight enough. Basically the reason that this flap exists, why Toyota puts it there at all, is so that if your phone slips out of your pocket while you're driving, it doesn't fall back onto the floor in the back seat. So again, single-handedly put the S-hook onto the elastic, and we will reach in here, find a good little piece of metal webbing to attach this to. So again, not terribly tight, it doesn't really need to be, but that is perfect. We will also, these strings that are dangling down here, you can just tuck them right up inside that flap. That'll work beautifully. Headrest back in. We now have completed seat. And that's driver's seat done. You know, we've got the seat back on, it's nice and tight, hugs these bolsters really well. Headrest is on, seat bottom's on, straps are nice and tight. They're not going anywhere. One other thing to consider as you're doing this is you want to make sure that your seat bottom insert lines up with the seam on your seat back insert, which it does. So I'm completely satisfied with how this looks. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the rest of the truck install. Quick recap, obviously the passenger seat, it's going to be essentially the same exact process as what we just completed. The 40 section seat of the back seat, same exact procedure as the 60 section, just easier because it's smaller. We'll set it up on a time lapse, but I won't go through it in detail because we've already done that. All right. Oh my gosh, I'm sick of the all right.